Granddad Business with Aaron Caliber. That's my dad. Hello! Underpants? That is hilarious. You should mouth to rate and review this podcast or my daddy will go into a deep depression. Going down business with Aaron Caliber. Yeah.
Boom. Welcome to Grown Dad Business. This is Aaron Caliber. I'm here with Jason Clark.
Yep.
And hi, guys. Hi, friends. How are we? Good, great, grand.
Good.
Jason, I was just thinking out loud in my brain. I was thinking, we should do a little intro like I do for the You Can't Handle the Truth. Me and Sean Collier do a movie review podcast. Mm-hmm. See what I did there?
Yeah.
And we do a little intro, and then we play the theme music. I think we should start doing that. What do you think?
Well, we'd have to have a production meeting.
Let's have one. We'd have to talk to our friends at Epicast, who produce our show, and Dom on the Wheels of Steel editing our show.
Epicast.
But yeah, welcome to Grown Dad Business. This is the Dad Podcast, and welcome if this is your first time listening. We don't do that enough, I don't think.
No.
Like welcome people. People just show up and we're like, you're friends with us. What's up?
Yeah, what up?
It is kind of like we're talking to our friends at Denny's. That's the way we like it, though.
Yeah, we like our coffee strong.
That's McDonald's, bro. That's 6 a.m. McDonald's.
I can't stand McDonald's coffee.
It's the worst.
It's the worst coffee.
It tastes like hot mud water.
Do you remember when it was rated like the best coffee that you could get?
Never
was that some
happened.
bullshit?
That never happened.
It's horrible.
That was never rated
And what's this
number one
bullshit?
coffee.
So I needed a coffee
was that
the one
before
day.
Starbucks?
Oh, way before Starbucks. Yeah, they did like this marketing thing where they did a blind test and where they had like specialty brewed coffees, and then they had their coffee, and they were in the blind taste test that people were picking the McDonald's coffee over the other coffees.
Was the test group all racist farmers over 80?
Yeah, and
because that's bullshit,
was
and I don't believe
specialty
it.
coffee taster's choice. It was a couple weeks ago. Somebody was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go and get a coffee. You want a coffee?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Okay." Of course I'm gonna take free coffee. And I said, "Just give me a small coffee and just 2 cream."
Yeah,
2 cream. They do this. Yeah, nothing else. That's it.
Yeah,
and they do nothing. So at McDonald's, they put the cream in. They pump it for you. Like that's that whole thing. Like you have to tell.
They?
Yeah. It's like this thing where they don't give you the creamers. They put
Dunkin'
it in
Donuts
for
does that
you.
too, and I don't like it because I have to figure out their system.
Yeah.
So it's like, I used to like Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and it definitely changed over the last year or so because we
can do a coffee podcast.
Well, then let's save it.
Yeah.
Stop now.
Stop it.
We're okay. Done. We're not talking about coffee
We're going to take a
anymore.
week of research where we're just going to each go to different coffee joints and just speak.
Yeah, we're going to do taste testing coffee. That'll be next week's episode.
Yeah, since we
coffee.
get
This week's episode.
Go ahead. I was just going to say.
No, we're not finishing. We're just saving it for the coffee episode.
Damn it. All right.
Yeah, you got to save it and listen. We're going to do a whole coffee episode. We're going to do a whole coffee episode. And by the way, we are not in the dad cave.
No, we're sitting in
We are not in another state on a dad's weekend. We are sitting at my dining room table.
Yeah.
Having a dad meeting.
With the Daniel Tiger's neighborhood tablecloth left over from the
Farcast birthday party. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty busy. I'm pretty tired right now. I'm working on my house a lot. Maybe we'll talk about that in a future episode. That's a blast.
Yeah.
But no, today's episode is we're going to be talking about kids sports. Right now it's starting to really wind up.
Well,
springtime.
Yeah, the springtime sports are starting to ramp up. I mean, honestly,
a lot of other things have been going on during the wintertime.
Like, it doesn't stop.
It is.
I mean, there's no break at all for these kids, nor for the parents.
I would love to hear if anybody has any stories about youth sports. I'm sure there's tons. I mean, Jason and I have some stories.
Yeah.
And that's why we're doing a podcast and talking about it.
Yeah.
But, man, if you have any good youth sports, kids sports stories, hit us up on Grown Dad Business. Like us on Grown Dad Business on Facebook. And you can find us on Twitter at Grown Dad. And you can find me and Jason's accounts on there as well. Yeah. Give us some little feedback. Tell us some stories. And if you guys have any topics you want us to talk about, this topic was suggested by somebody, and boom, we're doing it.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. You want to talk about something? I did have a topic that someone proposed. Someone was like, spoiler alert. We say spoiler, but really earmuffs for the minivan parents. But someone was like, talk about kids hitting puberty and kids starting to like jerk off and stuff. I was like, nah, man.
I'm good.
I was like, nah. I was like, nah.
No, that's like, not our show.
Yeah. Not only does Jason and his son not want to talk about that.
Special guest this week, and we don't tell my son what the topic is. And I'm like, hey, come on, man. Aaron really wants to sit down. He thinks you'd be great for the podcast. And we sit down and we drop the topic on him.
Hey, I want to sit down and talk about you playing with yourself. Like, what the like, gone. Yeah, so we're not doing that.
No. I had a suggestion was man buns. Just, that was the word I was given. Do a podcast on man buns.
Let's do a mini episode right now, Jason, about man buns. How about man buns? No.
Nope. And thanks for joining us
this week. Man buns, that's a no.
It is a no.
That's a nope.
Yeah.
That was a good episode.
It was a good one. I mean,
it was a good man buns episode.
We're going to log that down, and it's going to be on the best of.
Yeah. But kids sports, before we really dig into it, if there's anything going on this week, Jason, the next stand-up get-down, it's our stand-up comedy game show. When's that happening?
March 31st at 10 p.m. at the Arcade Comedy Theater, part of the Burning Bridges Comedy Festival here in town. They're like, he has like 7 venues. I mean, every
cool.
it is. It's so cool. Go and check their website out, burningbridgesfest.com.
Yeah.
John Dick Winters started it. It's the second year. He started it up last year. And you just go through, I mean, every venue that probably plugs a mic into a wall and hosts stand-up, he's got shows at. And they are great names.
James Adomian, I believe. Doesn't he play Bernie Sanders in that duo? I think he does.
He does.
He plays Bernie Sanders in that Donald Trump-Bernie Sanders duo, which is really funny. And we were actually going to try to bring them to Pittsburgh, but they cost too much money. I was like, and then Aparna. Aparna, I forgot her last name. I just know she's very funny. But yeah, and then we'll have a stand-up get-down during Burning Bridges. And but that weekend at Burning Bridges, I will be in Erie once again. But I'll be in Erie with my friend Harlan Williams. And before that, well, that's the 30th, 31st, and April 1st. But March 24th and 25th, I will be in Dayton, Ohio, headlining Wiley's. And then the first week of April, I'll be in Albany, New York at the Funny Bone, April 6, 7, and 8. And then I'll be at the Comedy Zone in Harrisburg. And then I'll be in Wichita and then Tulsa. And then, I'm going to be all over the place in the next month or so.
A couple charity things in the month of March, too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You're going to be on the 11th. Well, we're both doing the John Rolich. I'll be in Pittsburgh. You're going to go. Are you on that one down
the John Rolich stand-up fundraiser show. Yeah. We talked about it briefly on one episode. A really good friend of ours, a comedian, not from Pittsburgh, but really a Pittsburgh comic, had some really great shows he always put on in Wheeling, John Rolich. He passed away, and so we're doing a huge fundraiser simultaneously. We're doing a show at Arcade at 10 p.m. on March 11th, and then we're also doing a show in Wheeling.
Wheeling or Weirton?
Weirton, I'm sorry. Weirton, oh, my gosh. In Weirton, West Virginia. I'm going to be on the Weirton, West Virginia show March 11th, and you're on the...
I'm on the Arcade one.
Yeah, awesome.
Yep.
So, if you want to support anything, it goes to the family, costs for, things like that, and really great family. So, March 11th. So, let's get cracking.
Yeah.
Unless I want to drop Epicast real quick. Got to. Hey, you guys know, I tell you guys all the time that our podcast comes from Epicast Network. If you guys are interested in starting a podcast, you got to contact Epicast. You can check out epicastnetwork.com/services. But you'll find out once you go to that page that they do all kinds of other things. They do live audio production, studio audio production, podcast production. They do live event promotion, photography, video, all kinds of things, from, recording your stand-up show, recording your podcast, doing a video on green screen in their studio, to recording and producing your band live. They can do all that stuff. They're pretty awesome. And and of course, shout out to Dom on the Wheels of Steel editing our podcast. But yeah, check out epicastnetwork.com/services if you're interested in checking that out. You can check out other podcasts too. Really great podcasts on the Epicast Network. History, beer, all kinds of stuff.
Movies.
Yeah.
There's a couple of movie reviewers on there now. Isn't there?
No, I think there's just You Can't Handle the Truth movie review podcast with Sean Collier and myself and various guests.
Yeah. I don't know.
Kids sports. That's how we're rolling.
Yeah,
Kids sports.
No, it was suggested, and it's kind of funny. I mean, your kids are starting to get involved.
Yeah, my kids. What'd you say?
They're starting to get involved now.
Oh yeah,
or have they been involved?
No, my kids have played soccer. My kids play soccer, and I think my son has been playing for 3 years. And my daughter just played her first year. No, my son played for 2. My daughter just played her first. Yeah, my younger son played before her. And then she had so much fun watching him his first year. She joined. And just because of the weird age at the time and my daughter's experience, they're on the same team this year and next year.
Wow.
Yeah, because soccer kind of works as like years in and skill level.
Oh, wow.
So Becca, my daughter, started in a younger tier.
So the age doesn't... I mean, she's how many years older than him?
2.
2.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that.
That's how they roll. But then she'll have to move up.
Certainly.
So they let her play for like 2 years in a younger bracket. Oh, okay. But then she'll have to bump up.
She's dominating the hell out of these little kids.
I'm not kidding. Her last couple games, she just my daughter. I mean, she's smart. People know that I talk about my daughter. She's smart. She's smarty.
She figured it out. Yeah,
she was like, wait, I can just like run up and steal the ball off these kids. Like they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And like, I played sports my whole life, and it's interesting coming into this episode because thinking like I should be the dad that's like, play everything, be a champion.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason why my kids don't play a lot of stuff is because I played a lot of sports.
I'm the same. I was the same way. Yeah. I mean, my kids, if they gravitated towards it, I allowed them to.
Sure.
If it just so happened to be that, a sport that I played and I played sports my whole life. Right. And I played mainly football and basketball. I never played baseball. I never, never got into that
everything.
sport. I never got into it. So those were the ones. And if my kids gravitated towards something, I mean, my son ended up, going to football. He played football. He liked football. And then one day he just looked at me and he was like, I really love playing football. He goes, but I'm going to get killed. Because he's a smaller guy. And he reached that point where it was just like, and I was actually proud of him of just being like, it was like a man talk. We just sat down. He's like, Dad, I want to talk to you about football. I'm like, all right, let's talk about football. And he's like, I don't want to play football anymore. And I was like, great, and my daughter did the softball thing, and then she did track, and then she landed on volleyball, which I will tell you was one of the greatest sports to watch.
I played volleyball.
Love volleyball.
You said that really weird after you're talking about high school girls volleyball.
No, I didn't.
Well,
I didn't say girls. I said volleyball.
You kind of implied that you were like,
no, it's a great
volleyball is the best.
I want you all to I want you to go ahead and hit that button that goes back to 15 seconds on your podcast machine when you're listening to this, so you can prove this son of a bitch wrong. There was absolutely no connotation towards that. You sick son of a bitch.
You're like, I'll tell you what, there's something special about.
Y'all need to.
You didn't say girls.
No, I didn't say that.
I played volleyball.
Oh, yeah.
I played volleyball. I played girls volleyball.
You kind of said that like you were.
I loved volleyball. I did love girls volleyball. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Hot shorts.
What?
Girls look good. I'm talking about when I was in high school.
Oh, I'm talking as a father.
Yeah, I know you were talking about it as your father.
I know it's not a grown teenager podcast. I mean, if we want to go back in time to the time machine and talk about how we felt.
Well,
we're about to fight.
No, I played.
You're gonna label this section. Jason's getting testy.
Yeah. Jason gets fired up about an ex-boyfriend of his wife's again.
I had someone come up to me at Hambo's the other night and ask me about the podcast.
Yeah.
And he said, hey, man, we'll get into this a little deeper because I listened to the podcast. And I was doing a show Saturday night there. And he goes, hey, we'll get into it later. But he goes, one question I have for you. Did you ever see that guy again?
That's so funny.
And we did. I mean, she told that story, I think, to you guys after the podcast that I did.
Yeah.
I did see him. I coached football, and it kind of goes with the topic.
Yeah.
I coached football in this youth league, and his daughter was a cheerleader, like in the little kids. And we went to the annual banquet, and I wouldn't know this guy to see him. I mean, it was so many years later. And he had fallen the F apart. So
He fell apart.
I would have never known who he was.
He fell apart?
He didn't look good. He wasn't. He didn't hold up too well. But he remembered my.
He didn't hold up too well.
He remembered my wife.
Oh, of course he did. Mm-hmm. No, if you guys want to know what we're talking about, you have to listen to our Valentine's episode.
It's great.
We had our wives on, and we talked about how we met. And Jason flips out about an ex-boyfriend of hers, which was pretty enjoyable.
Yeah.
And that. You definitely earned our explicit tag on iTunes. That was fun.
Yeah, every once in a while. I mean, I didn't flip out currently about him. I could give a shit less. At the time
funny.
when I first met him.
Jason, we just want people to listen. It was funny.
Listen, 3 minutes ago, you accused me of getting a little bit crazy about girls volleyball. And now you're painting me in a bad light.
You're a piece of work, Jason.
I'm a good guy.
You're a piece of work is what you are.
All right, back to sports. I don't even know what we're talking about.
We were talking about volleyball. You were salivating about girls volleyball.
Dom.
You're the only other one person listening right now. That's Dom.
Dom, you need to
edit. Everyone else
need to fix some shit on this.
He ain't editing nothing.
Nope. He's
he ain't editing out. We don't edit out nothing. Okay, so you had girls volleyball.
My daughter played girls volleyball.
Yeah, we know. I'm kidding. We know. All right, we know how much you love girls volleyball.
God
go
damn
on.
It. Go.
Okay, I'll make it much better for you. I loved 7-year-old soccer. It's my favorite.
Okay.
See?
Okay.
See, that's kind of how you said it.
No.
What? No, you didn't.
No.
So your son quit football.
Yeah, he played football.
That's good for someone to. And hey, good for you, Dad. Because how many kids do you think in this country where like you want to quit football?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you? You know, it's like, look, my kids. They're not playing a lot of stuff right now.
Yeah.
I mean, my daughter does dance. She does like tap and like gymnastics.
That's awesome.
But also, like, she tried a thing that was like a after school program for kids that was like athletic program, and she was just like, I'm not into it. It's like a bunch of like jumping jacks and sprinting and stuff, and and we just said like, hey, she said she wanted to try it.
Yeah.
And we said, okay, hey, maybe you can stay active when you're not playing soccer. Like, and she was like, it was just, she'd rather belong to the chess club, which she belongs to chess club. And like, that's okay.
Great.
Yeah. So that's fun. And I never thought my son would be into sports because he's such a goofball.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh, my son's going to be the one just watching butterflies and like spitting on ants and stuff in the middle of the field.
If there was a sport that I would say in knowing Luke, what sport Luke would play, I would say it would be soccer. Because for me,
he likes it.
Soccer's constant.
Yeah,
it's a constant movement. They can stop and pick the flowers.
He's also a good player. They both play really well, and I do coach him a little bit from the sidelines.
Oh, you son of a...
Well, I do. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with, just like, kind of encouraging your kids to like...
Luke, put down the goddamn flowers and go pick that ball.
Sometimes...
He's how old?
Basically, what I'm yelling is... If you ever hear me at a soccer game, it's get the ball. Get the ball. But no, I'm not as bad as some parents. There is a mom that like... Do you ever run into the parents that know nothing?
Yeah.
Nothing about soccer or about the sport. You know, for instance, like when you go to a hockey game, your favorite sport, and you have people in the stands yelling, shoot the puck.
All the time.
You don't understand that the professional who has the puck on the ice right now can't shoot the puck.
Been skating since before he could walk.
Yeah. Can't shoot it right now.
Yeah.
And he knows why he can't shoot it. Because he can't.
Because he can't.
There's no shot.
No.
There's no lane to shoot the puck.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
So stop yelling, shoot the puck, stop it. Sorry.
So what's this mom doing?
So this mom is like yelling things that isn't even applicable to soccer.
To the sport.
Like it's just this stuff, and she's yelling them in like an annoying mom voice, almost like it's the same exact voice that a mom would use yelling at a group of kids, like to tell them to stop throwing food. Like she's just like, now do this, now come on, now do that, and everyone's like, what are you talking about? Like, don't tell your daughter to do that. And it's kind of annoying because like the coaches do a really good job. And they do. They talk to the kids, you know, and I don't yell at my kids on the field unless they're near me. Yeah. You know what I mean? But sometimes.
I see this look in your eye. It's not
because I'm borderline. Like I have to check myself. Because I've played sports my whole life. I'm so competitive.
Yeah.
That like I'm like.
But there has to be a point where you just sit back and just be like, you know what? I just want to enjoy the moment.
I do for sure.
I played soccer when I was younger too, until I became too violent and I had to play football.
Yeah.
And my dad came to one soccer game when I was a kid, and he was hammered.
Oh man.
And he got thrown out.
No.
As a parent.
How old were you?
I might have been 9.
Wow.
Yeah, it just sort of hit me right there as you were talking about just like the parent yelling things.
Yeah.
And my dad, I remember him, and he threw the chair onto the. I mean, like you've seen on TV, like you see the movies and
really?
Yeah, and my dad. I just remember my dad had to go sit in the car because my mom was still. I mean, I was still in the game. And it's just like my dad was just like, at the end of old school, school. When is it old school when he's coaching soccer? Vince Vaughn. Yeah. He's like hands the clipboard to Leah Remini, and he's like, "Don't mess this up. I gotta go sit in the car." He got thrown out. That's my dad. My dad was that. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna be that.
Yeah.
And for sure. I mean, I definitely enjoy it. You know, because I played hockey my whole life. That's the one sport that was consistent. And not that we're talking about our childhood sports, but just to give you a frame of like what we know about. Like when I was a kid, I played baseball for like 3 years, and I was like a hitting champion.
No, you're Babe Ruth.
Dude, I played hockey my whole life.
You're like, I'm a big boy.
So baseball was hand-eye coordination sports were really easy to me.
Okay.
Like I can throw a ball into a glove.
Yeah.
I can throw a ball to home base, home plate. You know, I can hit a ball. You know, I can still probably jump on a softball team, and I did play adult softball. You know, but I just hated baseball.
Yeah, I've hated baseball.
I just
my whole life.
didn't like it.
I don't like to watch baseball.
Also, I've always said too. People are always like, "Oh, you don't like baseball? The Pirates are good right now," and I'm like, "Because we're from Pittsburgh."
I know.
And I'm like, "Yeah, but when I was 9, we had the worst baseball team in the history of baseball." Like
I did. I mean, I like.
We had Barry Bonds and Bobby Bonilla and Andy Van Slyke for a minute.
Yeah, when I was in high school,
then it was over.
And then
it was
done.
bad for 20 years.
Yeah, we'd go to games all the time. But yeah, I mean,
and at the same time, I grew up with Mary Lemieux hoisting a Stanley Cup.
Yeah. So yeah, you're gonna
and I live in Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
where it's a lot of cold weather.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, it does. It makes sense. But I think they're talking about, you know, parents and parenting within sports. I mean, that's sort of what started this whole thread of wanting to talk about this. I mean, I got hooked into it, did a little show research last night as I watched this show called Friday Night Tykes. And if you want to watch an incredible train wreck, is this reality TV show on the USA channel where they follow this league in Texas, and it's their life. It's everything for them.
Yeah.
This is what they are defined by as adults, as parents, and as children. They are completely defined by this football league, and it is something like you've never seen.
Ambulance. Sorry.
Yeah. This episode started last night with a coach physically throwing a kid like off the bench. that was the drama for the show, that the coach got thrown out of the league. The kid quit because his parents didn't feel it was a safe environment.
Wait, this was part of the show?
Yeah.
Did you actually see it happen?
It was just off camera, but then all the coaches and everyone ran to the section.
So he like shoved a kid off the bench?
Yeah, because the coach, this is like the volunteer helper. The head coach said, no one sits on the bench. You know, you don't sit on the bench, you support your team. Well, the kid wanted to sit down, and the guys came up to him and said, hey, coach said you can't sit on the bench. And the kid was just like, whatever. And he went to go flip him off the bench, and the kid took a swing at him. The kid's like 9. So that culture.
I'm just sitting here in awe.
Yeah. So if you watch this show, I mean, pull up some clips on YouTube or whatever. You don't need to watch a whole show. I mean, it's agonizing. I mean, but to watch these parents, and you know, and that's the thing. What you end up finding is that you have the fathers that are living vicariously.
Oh yeah.
Or trying to continue, you know, their childhood or what they left out. You know, they were the star in the town, and then it all, you know, now he's working at the mill. Yeah, and he wants to look, you know. So
well, you coach football a little bit.
I did coach youth football.
Let's talk about our coaching experiences real quick.
Yeah.
I mean, how long did you do that? Just with your son the whole time?
No, I think it was like 4 years. And I didn't want to, I didn't really, it was 3 or 4 years. I really didn't want to do it. I just wanted to enjoy the sport.
Yeah.
And,
but football, man.
And for me, I played football.
With that show you're talking about, like that's a whole culture, man.
Yeah, it was.
That's why I'm not into it.
And that's what I ended up finding out when I was involved with it, that it wasn't about football for these men. It was about them getting some type of glory out of this. And that's where I was like, damn it. I remember sitting out with my wife.
You talking about the dads?
Yeah, the coaches, staff, you know, the people that are making up this league,
like
you know.
We got the it always seemed to me like the dads, the coaches are like, we got the baddest gang. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we got the best gang.
And it was also
like the best army.
Yeah. And like, in this environment, it was very much.
They're like proud of their gang almost.
Yeah. And they were still frat boys.
Right.
And it was like, whoa, man. Like I love the sport of football, and I want to see these kids have a fun time playing football.
Right.
And I think at the point I did get caught up in it a little bit, and it was just like, oh shit, man, this isn't who I am.
Yeah.
And I had to pump my brakes, and then I was done. And at the same time, you know, and then my son played, I think my son played for another couple years after I stepped away. He was playing football before I coached. He played a full year.
Right.
And then I just happened to be having a conversation with one of the coaches or the commissioner of the league. You know, they got the commissioner, the secretary. I mean, whatever. Yeah. I mean, they have to have it. I mean, some leagues are run really, really well.
Sure,
I mean, this was a well-run league, but when you got into the inner of it, it was like, shit.
It's really a bunch of dads
wanting to do some, you know, they're not doing anything bad or anything like that. But when you start, and football as a culture is very, I played it since I was 9. Yeah. And I played for a long time, and I love the sport, but then it's hard for me now to see man, it's going to sound, I don't know, judge me. The violence to me at such a young age.
There's no judgment there. Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
I'm not saying you. I know you not judging, but somebody listening and would say, you know, hey, that's what's wrong with, no bullshit, dude.
It's
my
all
son's
about
brain,
aggression and hitting people.
Yeah. It's a little overwhelming.
It's conditioning a kid almost like a soldier. It's like, get used to firing a gun.
I can honestly tell you that I've had enough damage done to my brain.
Sure.
That I played games virtually blacked out.
Yeah.
And I would tell you that I have issues, and Melissa will tell you that. I have issues with some memory loss and some things like that.
Yeah.
And that is one of the things I could attribute
and
that to.
And you're not even remotely competitive.
Nothing comparative to what these men are being put through.
Yeah.
But to think of a child whose brain is in its full-flown development all the way until they're like 19, 20.
Well, did you hear they're talking about changing youth football? Like they're going to change it.
Yeah.
They just put a thing out where they're changing so much where they're only having 7 players on the field, something like that now. Did you hear about this?
No, and I think that you'll see that. I mean, there's already throughout the country. It's always been based upon numbers more than safety, but I think you'll definitely start to see a lot of that happen as the professional the NFL starts to make changes and do those sorts of things. I mean, you have to start it at that level. I mean, when you've got, even you got professional football players are saying to you, I won't let my kid play this sport. And here's the biggest thing for me when it comes to it. And I'm not dogging a sport or whatnot,
right.
But there's so many positives that come from team sports. And, there's a lot of what I'm built and what has happened and who I am was because I was taught a certain skill set from a leadership standpoint and working within a team and, working for that person next to you type of mentality.
Well, so some of those changes, and this has a lot to do with youth football. What you're saying is the violence and the injuries, and so basically USA football
they came up when I was coaching. USA football became a thing, and they really because they're partnered with the NFL.
Yes. Oh well, I mean, this is the stream that flows into the NFL.
Yes.
This is, I mean, same with you. I mean, in hockey, we have USA Hockey. I mean, it forms every part of the professional sport. Absolutely. This is why this is a big deal. So some of you don't understand, like, this is like changing what football is going to be. The big thing is if they implement this, then these players will not be ready for the actual existing college or pro football. So that's a problem. And the NFL, I'm curious to see what the NFL has to say about this because you can't be against safety.
Right.
Because then you're just going to show how much you're for money. Because that's really what it is.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get down the rabbit hole of how much I don't like the NFL and I'm not an NFL fan any longer. But anyway, here's a breakdown of what they can expect from this modified game. And this is straight from USA Football. They're talking about having a smaller playing field.
Sure.
It's taking a 100-yard field to 40-yard field. So the field's almost split in half with 2 games that can be on the same field. Definitely fewer players. Usually there's 11 players on the team, and this modified will be only down to 7 players. But possibly 6 to 9 players. That's what they're thinking. Yeah. There will be no special teams any longer.
Yeah.
No special teams to cut down just open field hits. A lot of that special teams, and it's true. You know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah.
Hey, dads, you watch football. You know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
This is some serious things that the USA Football really was just like, you know what? We're done. What's
going to happen is
there's a couple more. But go ahead.
Right, but just what's going to happen with this is this will only be through USA Football sanctioned leagues. So a league has,
and it's still in a beta stage. They're testing it out in certain cities.
But you will have it, and that'll be interesting to see when it comes time for these different youth football leagues across the country to make a decision
with the NFL.
Are you going to choose to go with this organization that you have to pay money to be a part of, and they give you a lot of good stuff? There's a lot of good stuff that comes from that'll give to your league as far as just like different equipment things that you can work with them. You go on our website. I'm not promoting them, but you choose to be a part of that organization. You now have to go with their rules. So now you're going to have leagues within towns.
They're going to pull out.
They're going to say, I don't want to be involved with this. So now they're choosing this safety measure, or they're choosing not to have that. So within a township, and then you're trying to create leagues.
But that's the thing. So we're going to have parents, most likely dads, say, I ain't playing that. And let's just, I'm going to just say it how it is. There's going to be dads out there, I ain't playing that pussy football.
Mostly dads, but moms are brutal.
Well, sure, but I'm just saying, man.
Are a breed of people.
I'm just saying, you need to go and talk to an NFL vet who you'd think he's 70.
Yeah.
But he's actually 35 years old and can't feed himself because his head's being bashed in since he was a child.
Yeah.
Your child. I mean, we really got to think about this.
Yeah.
I mean, we have NFL players who don't remember their name at the age of 30. I mean, when are we going to stop it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, some people might be listening right now, and Aaron Kleiber's a big whiny baby. That's cool. Meet me on the ice.
Go play basketball.
A couple other things. Players at the line of scrimmage aren't going to use the 3-point stance anymore. Lowering the body position, leverage, and all that.
Makes sense.
Players must rotate positions. Players are going to rotate positions. Yeah, I know. It's a lot. It's a lot, man. I'm surprised that this is so many changes in one. But also, this is another one. It's kind of I'd say the position rotation and this one, coaches must ensure players of equal size are matched up against each other.
Well, they've done that for years, though. Already. I mean, we would have you would have weight groupings in leagues that I played in where you weight groupings.
That's
could not
tough.
play in certain areas unless you met a certain weight criteria. So yeah, it is tough, but it's important.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, football is a sport. There's so many positives that I could say in my life that came from that.
Right.
But if I had to do it all over again, I would have never played the game.
Well, I mean, I can't disagree with you. But check this out. So, I was wondering why is this such a big deal? Like, why would they change this? I mean, obviously for safety, but check this out.
We had a kid here recently. We have a kid local here that is suing their school.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what it was, and doesn't matter from that standpoint. But I mean, from the fact that he cracked his helmet in the game, and they kept him playing. They did no concussion protocol, nothing with him at their athletic trainer, and it's just he's now suing his school because he has PTSD.
Jeez, oh man. Well, here's an interesting piece of data that I saw is that so ESPN cited that data from 2015 and 2016. That did a study that said 1.3 million kids 6 to 12 are playing tackle football. But the same year, 1.1 million kids, almost as much as tackle, are now playing flag football. Mm-hmm. So a lot of parents are actually saying, you know what, you're going to play flag.
Yeah.
And ESPN, I know ESPN has a huge flag, a stake in like flag football, youth flag football. The NFL does it has a big thing in flag football, but there are a lot of flag football leagues and almost as many. So those numbers right there are showing that like parents don't want their kids to play tackle football.
What is the thing that you want out of the sport?
Pro.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Pro.
We're gonna get my kid a scholarship.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing too. It's like, and I want to get on this and
understandable that some communities it is a way out. I mean, we have communities we know that it is the way for them to get the hell out of that town, and they have produced. I mean, we have a local area here, Aliquippa, Pennsylvania. Yeah. They have cranked out a ton of NFL players.
I just want to throw out that my alma mater this year is the state champs, Steel Valley. Holla at your boys, the Iron Men.
Yeah.
State champs. Annihilation.
Whatever,
dude.
Stupid.
It's my high school.
I'm proud of you. Go
take
your Letterman's jacket off and be a man.
I never got a Letterman's jacket. They were too expensive.
Yeah.
I was like, I ain't buying that.
But no. But what you're talking about, flag football but also understanding that it is that is going to have to be a culture change for people, and more so for the parents.
Right. I only know, like, I'm going to go to and talk about hockey real quick because I played my whole life. I coached for a couple years, and there's one thing that I saw growing up playing hockey was that I remember when they implemented the stop signs on the back of the jerseys. So you wouldn't hit people from behind.
Yeah.
The NHL and USA Hockey, I think, has been in the forefront and always the initiator of safety in their youth sports. The NHL has been on top of it for a long time. I mean, and they really, and you can see how much the actual professional game that they don't play around. They don't, like, you hit someone from behind, suspended 5 games. Like NHL has never detracted from like, whoa, no, they make decisions on safety and they do it.
Right.
And
they've struggled as a league. I mean, as far as the way it's played, though, in a lot of aspects.
Yeah, I think
they still have their faults. I mean, it's not a perfect league. I mean, you talked about Lemieux earlier. I mean, him himself came out and basically called it a garbage league. I mean, when he was playing, it was horrible.
Yeah, there was a rough patch. Hockey. There was a rough patch in the late 80s and then in the 90s.
But as far as you're saying, once they started here's what you're saying, and what I understand it. When the NHL implements a rule, that's a rule, and they'll make change right now. They'll make change right now to affect this season. Whereas the NFL are like, we have to go to our meeting in Hawaii. We have to talk about it with the players.
They'll meet with the owners and the Players Association for 2 years,
and then they'll implement
do fake studies.
Yeah.
hey, not calling out the NFL, or maybe am I?
Well, it is what it
but
is.
The NHL is like, we don't do this no more.
No.
Boom. Done.
Tomorrow.
Like
mid-season.
And a big thing has been talking about when's fighting going to be taken out of hockey.
Yeah.
Any minute.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think if you talk to a lot of people in, sportscasting and hockey,
it's diminished to this point already, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty diminished.
It's still a thing.
It's still a thing, but it's not as
over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So much more has been, and the NHL. I give kudos to the NHL because they have the changes they want to make in the game are safety and speed and scoring.
Yeah.
They want more speed
they want
and
their
scoring.
Stars to be stars.
Yes, they want 7-goal games.
Yeah.
They're talking about
7-goal games.
They're talking about making the goalie equipment smaller, which they're implementing I think next year.
They have to.
Yeah.
That's pretty. It's brutal. It's rough. I was watching.
But it wasn't as bad as the 90s.
No, that was big.
The 90s really big goalie equipment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Now, I mean, like I was a goalie my whole life, and seeing some of the goalie equipment that the pros wear, I'm like, where did they get that at? I'm like, I can't buy. Why are those pads 18 inches wide?
I don't know who the Pens were playing the one night,
craziest thing.
But their goalie was wearing black pads, and it made him look even bigger.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the last time I seen someone wearing all black pads.
That's pretty dope.
It was.
That's real dope.
But my man took up.
I have all black and white equipment.
The man took up the whole goddamn.
Yeah,
like there was nowhere.
Goldberg, dude.
Nowhere. Yeah.
But I will say that. So what I'm trying to say is the NHL has done a really good job all the way up through youth sports.
Right.
In their safety. And like I said, their priority is to make an entertaining game. And, I guess a lot of people with the NFL, they're saying like, well, if you did this and this, it wouldn't be entertaining. Really? Because I think you'd have more 70-yard passes.
Yeah.
That would be dope. And don't you think you would have more, like if you ran a little bit more and didn't worry about like digging into the trench of all these guys banging heads, that you might have some really nice 20, 30-yard runs too?
Yeah.
And then there are people that are saying like, oh, well, you'll ruin the record holders. You'll make them a laughing stock. Like there'll be an asterisk on all records. People are going to break everyone's records. Who cares?
That's so stupid.
They're going to break so-and-so's records easily.
Good.
So what?
Yeah, that's all good.
Who cares?
Give me a break.
But I will say...
you do have your purists. You have your hockey purists that never want to see, you can't change the game. I mean, we have to evolve.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're talking about 30-year-old, 40-year-old ex-football players not being able to talk and walk, I mean, that's fucking... For our entertainment.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I can get hammered in the parking lot and just get nuts over that big... I don't...
I want to run down a list of sports, of kids' sports, and we're just going to run through them real quick. And I know I can speak. We spoke mostly about soccer and football, and I will say for youth hockey. Let me just start with that one. A lot of people will say, "Oh, is your son going to play hockey?" And I'm like, "Nope."
Yeah.
No. And you're like, "Wait, but you just talked about how good hockey." Listen. Here's the thing. It has nothing to do. I trust the safety of USA Hockey. I like USA Hockey. I was a USA Hockey certified level 2 coach. And I will say that from my experience playing and also being a coach, it was not fun.
No.
I will say that like there was a lot when you not only is the expensive. It's one of the most expensive sports.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking, okay, what, your kid's an equestrian or whatever, like a horse ride. Okay, yeah, that's expensive. But, you got to go to specialized places to play. You have to buy, you know how your kids grow out of clothing? Oh, they grow out of $50 hockey gloves every 6 months. And they grow out of $80 skates every 6 months. It's the worst.
Yeah.
And I was a goalie.
Yeah.
So I remember
what you see a lot of. I mean, like the Penguins, NHL franchises.
Yeah.
They really have worked to help promote youth hockey, and they're giving equipment away.
Yeah,
there's programs out there. If you want your kid to play, if you wanted your child to play that, look out. If you're in an NHL city,
it
you
is
can make
getting
it
better and better because hockey mostly was reserved for people that had a little bit of extra money.
Yeah.
And now I know there's a program that the Penguins sponsor in Pittsburgh that gives people of lower incomes and lower class families where they just have free equipment. And so it's like if you can pay for the practice, then you get free equipment. So they do a lot. They've had a lot of great programs around here. And I mean, that all has to do with like the Mary Lemieux Foundation and how great the organization.
Sid's organization does it.
Sidney Crosby's organization does it. So those are things that are changing big time.
But they're not going to drive you 40 minutes to the ice to get you to the rink at what time of day.
Yeah, and most of the kids' games, I mean, you're playing at 6 a.m. I mean, and your practices are at, 7 o'clock at night, and your kid has to go to 3rd grade the next day. And they're on the ice, and then by the time they get home, take all of their equipment off, get a shower. I mean, it's arduous.
But as a parent, if your child came to you and said, "Daddy, I love hockey,"
I'd have to talk to my wife.
Yeah.
because my wife would be the one that'd be handling a lot of that.
Right. And I'm just posing that of just saying,
I'm talking.
You don't make these decisions.
You ever see that minivan commercial they show during NHL games where it shows that it's like dawn?
Yeah.
And the kids are getting their hockey stuff and the mom's putting all the hockey stuff in the van.
Right.
If my son wanted to play hockey, I'd be like, honey, do you want to do this? Because I'm on the road a lot.
Yeah.
I'm working. I'm the one that, goes out and, and my wife is the one that her full-time job is at home. So hey, honey, do you want to add hockey mom to your list of scheduled events?
6 a.m. on a Saturday.
My wife was like, motherfucking no.
Yeah. 6 a.m. driving to the Ross Draver Isoplex.
Yeah. 6 a.m. tournament in Altoona.
Yeah.
But really, dude.
Oh, it is not even that. And then they get into travel. And the travel leagues, and that's cuckoo
tournaments
bananas.
And travel hockey. I mean, it was.
I get it.
And it was
I got
tough.
a friend whose son plays on the Penn's Elite.
Oh yeah, Penn's Elite. Yeah.
Everywhere.
Well, my mom was really busy, and if it wasn't for a lot of my friends' parents who drove me to places, and and I had to buy my own equipment too, man. Mm-hmm. I had to buy my own equipment.
Hey.
I cut grass and bought my own stuff.
Get some goddamn skin in the game, Clobber. You want to play goalie?
Right.
You're going to pay some money.
But I will say one of the toughest things to deal with was coaching. Hockey is because you still, like I said, there's a certain kind of child that comes with money. And I coached goalies for a couple amateur teams, which were high school kids, and that wasn't too bad because it was normally one-on-ones with goalies.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad, but it was also kind of a thing where you have dads and moms like saying like, can you work on my son's glove hand? And it's like, well, your son's 15 and this motherfucker needs to learn how to skate. Like they're worried about him making a Martin Brodeur save or, they want him these spectacular glove saves. And I'm like, this kid needs to learn where to stand.
Yeah.
Because he's not listening of where he needs to put his skates and, he's too lazy to get down on the ice and shuffle over. There's basics. Sorry, I'm getting nerdy. But there's things like that. There are basics where parents would encourage you to make him a superstar. Yeah. And then I got into coaching a city team, the city high school, Pittsburgh's city high school, coaching their goalies and defensemen. And that was... Same thing. It was. I'm just laid out here. Rich kids are really hard to coach.
Yeah.
I'll take a bunch of inner city kids any day over rich kids because they know everything. And who are you? Mm-hmm. And it was rough. It was tough, man.
I bet.
And it was just like, oh, we already know how to do this. Yeah. Well, I don't care. You're going to do it 20 more times because you don't do it during games.
Right.
Like, really, are we skating backwards with the puck? Yeah, you are, because you're a defenseman. And you should be able to do this.
Yeah.
Like, a lot. Yeah. So there's things like that. So that was my experience. And of course, I mean, sure, if my kids wanted to play something, sure, let's try it out. Yeah. But luckily, my kids are a little more.
Well,
my kids like art and music and theater and cartoon acting and comedy, and so I'm like, hey, my kids are going to be more creative. Awesome, like that's fine with me.
Yeah, and my point of making that was that you will do what you have to do to try to support your child's dreams if that's something they want to do, and if you're looking at it and there's just ways to get around cost, but this article that you quickly referenced ranked hockey, ice, roller, or deck hockey as to avoid at all costs as a dad.
Now, I would say
this list is based off of as a dad's perspective.
I would say deck hockey is. You know what? If you can't afford hockey, Deck hockey is definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
Deck hockey equipment is really inexpensive. It's much quicker,
more accessible.
games. Absolutely more accessible. And your kid can always go practice by playing street hockey. So, if your kid really likes hockey and you can't afford
But they're
it.
more looking at just the overall culture. I think what's funny is
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
It said that throw in a macho parent culture that makes football dads sound like chess dads.
I disagree with that. Somebody had a bad experience
I've not
with
been
hockey.
around hockey enough
Now, there
to
are some
speak on
bad...
that.
Now, once again, let me just say, a lot of it has to do with what I said before.
Yeah.
So you're playing with a lot of like upscale, more of well-to-do families, people with money. Well, guess what? The kids act that way because that's who their parents are.
Yeah.
So you also experience a lot of like kind of rich parents who are kind of snooty and know everything. And sure, you deal with that too. You have coaches all along the glass during the whole game. I mean, and you have parents coming up behind you on the bench.
Yeah.
To tell you something they wanted to tell you, and you're like, "Could you get out of here?" So anyway, but yeah, I mean, some people they polled some people, and they're talking about how youth basketball is the best because it's quick. You don't really need anything but shoes.
Yeah.
You could practice in any park. Here's another thing that my son was interested in. They listed one is pretty easy is karate. Karate, you get a gi and a belt, and here you go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then
It's not
softball.
a sport.
Softball, not a sport. What? I'll beat your ass, bro.
I don't.
I took karate.
I'm not going
I did
on that.
everything.
I'm
by
not
the
going
way.
on a tangent.
I took karate for like 2 years.
Oh my
I
God,
made
this
it to a
guy.
purple belt.
This
Did
guy's
I?
done everything.
Brown belt.
Hey, remember that time when you were climbing the Andes and your rope broke around your waist and
son
you
of a
just
bitch.
dug in with them fingernails? That's why Aaron has that one long fingernail. You think it might be for something else. It's for when he's going up the side of a mountain and his rappelling equipment breaks and he just latches in and climbs it like a goddamn Wolverine.
It's
Where
not
do you meet Aaron Kleiber? You see him on the road, you walk up to Aaron Kleiber, you say, you talk about climbing the Andes with me.
It's not a coke nail.
Nope.
It's a survival
It's a survival nail. I will cut a muskrat in half to eat that bitch in the woods. And then I will climb the side of a tree with that one nail. I don't care.
Man,
You Jackman.
still going?
You Jackman ain't shit. I'm Aaron Kleiber.
We're just gonna end it there, guys.
We'll see you out there.
Yeah, we'll see.
We're gonna
see you out there in the wild.
I see a muskrat in the yard. We're gonna eat that for lunch.
Send us your stories, friends. Send us your stories about kids sports. Hey, and subscribe and share our podcast. Go on iTunes. It's also on Libsyn. Go do that, please.
Yeah.
Share, subscribe, review for us, please.
We'll make this what you want it to be. But
It
we're
helps
not,
us.
Yeah.
No, like I want to talk about things that people want to talk about.
We
That'd
can
be
have fun with anything except for masturbation.
Okay, we're not talking about
You
that.
brought it up.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll hit stop and then we'll talk about it for hours on end.
You son
and
of
I'll
a bitch.
turn the lights down low, and we'll put on girls volleyball. Oh my god!
God damn it.
You son of a
You're
bitch!
a son of a bitch.